Om Asmad Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Namah Paramarishibhyo Namah Paramarishibhyah. Om Namah Paramarishibhyo Namah Paramarishibhyah. Neelatungastanagiri Tati Suptamudbodhya Krishnam Pararthyam Swam Shruti Shatashiras Siddhamadhyapayanti Swochisthayam Srajanigalitam Yavalat Kritya Bhunte Goda Tasyai Nama Idamidam Bhuya Evastu Bhuyaha. ஆண்டாள் திருவடிகளே சரணம். So we will discuss the 13th Pasuram today. புள்ளின் வாய் கீண்டானை பொல்லா அரக்கனை கிள்ளிக் கடைந்தானை கீர்த்திமாய்ப் பாடிப்போய் பிள்ளைகள் எல்லாரும் பாவை கடம்புக்கார் வெள்ளி எழுந்து வியாழ முறங்கித்து புள்ளும் சிலும்பினகான் போதரிக் கண்ணினாய் குள்ளக் குளிரக் குடைந்து நீராடாதே பள்ளிக் கிடத்தியோ பாவாய் நீ நன்னாளால் கள்ளம் தவிர்ந்து கலந்தேலோர் எம்பாவாய். This is the Pasuram. Adiyan, please go.
Sure, Swami. Apologize for this background noise, Swami. I'm at a temple, so sorry about that.
Yeah, no, please go.
பொல்லா அரக்கனை கிள்ளி களைந்தானை கீர்த்திமை பாடி போய் பிள்ளைகள் எல்லாரும் பாவையே களம் புக்கார் வெள்ளி எழுந்து வியாழும் முறங்கிற்று புள்ளின் வாய் புள்ளும் சிலம்பினகான் போதரே கண்ணினாய் குள்ள குளிர உடைந்து நீராடாதே பள்ளி கிடத்தியோ பாவாய் நீ நன்னாளாள் கள்ளம் தவிர்ந்து கலந்தேலோர் எம்பாவாய்.
Adiyan. ஆண்டாள் திருவடிகளே சரணம். So in today's Pasuram, again, the Gopikas, they have arrived at another Gopika's place. So apparently they are gathering Gopikas one by one. So after a certain discussion, finally, the understanding is that that Gopika is coming out of that house and joining this crew. And then together they are going to another Gopika's house. So today also, there is a discussion about a certain Gopika, right, who has a special kind of beauty of eyes. Okay, netra saundaryam, that is being glorified specifically. We will try to understand what the external meaning of the Pasuram is today first before we delve into the internal meaning. Okay. Pullin vai keendanai polla arakkanai. So pullin, pull means bird, right? We have discussed previously. So pullin vai keendanai, vai means mouth. So keendanai means he who has torn open the mouth of the bird. So what is the bird that is being referred to here and who has torn it open? It is Krishna who tore open the mouth of Bakasura, right? Baka means crane. So there was a certain Asura who has possessed a crane. He took the form of a crane and then he was trying to consume. He left his mouth wide open, almost stretching till the skies. And then the Gopas, they thought that this is some kind of weird creature and they were just playing around and it was swallowing all these. And finally it kept its mouth open so that Krishna could come, and as soon as Krishna came, it closed its mouth. So this was Bakasura. Krishna finally defeated Bakasura by tearing open his mouth. Okay, so that is the pastime that these girls are remembering. So Pullin vai keendanai polla arakkanai. Then Arakkan means Rakshasa. Rakkan, okay, Rakshasa. So Polla Rakkanai means a Rakshasa who is the worst of all, who was bad deeds personified, we can say. Why Rakshasa himself doesn't mean, someone who has performed bad deeds. Do we have to specifically say that he's a Rakshasa who performed bad deeds? That specific indication is referring to the nature of the deeds performed by that Rakshasa. They were so bad, that we shouldn't even talk about that. So, for such a Rakshasa, who is he? Who are the girls referring to here? They are referring to Ravana, right? The deeds of Ravana are so bad, right? We will discuss a little more. They are so bad because why are they so bad? In fact, even you know. Vibhishana says, Durvruttaha, describing Ravana, that he was so bad, his deeds were so bad. Why? Because he has separated the goddess of fortune from Narayana, right? What can be worse than that? That is the worst of all sins. So that was the sin committed by Ravana. So therefore, he was the worst person whatsoever. So what happened to such a person? Polla rakkanai, killik kalainane. This Rama, just like nipping a bud, he just snipped this Ravana and threw him away. This is how they are describing, right? So, Pullin vayi keendanai, polla arakkanai kelli kalaindanai. So that means they did two things they are describing here. So one thing is Krishna tearing open the mouth of Bakasura is one thing that they are discussing here. The second thing that they are discussing here is Rama killing Ravanasura. Okay. So these are the two things they are discussing. And then they are saying, Kirtimai Padipoi. And because of doing acts like this person has attained, or this person has a lot of glory, Kirti. That Kirti is what we want to sing. We are someone who always keeps singing the Kirti of the Lord. And the Kirti of the Lord is such that he has deeds like these which are very unique, very distinct, and cannot be surpassed. That is the nature of the deeds performed by Rama and Krishna in different avatars of the Lord. Okay, so that is what is being described here. Then Pillaigal ellarum pavai kalampukar. All the Gopikas, Pillaigal ellarum means all the Gopikas, Pukkar, they have entered. Pavai kalam means the place where the vratam was to be performed. The place where they all discussed with each other that they would be meeting Krishna, because Krishna was supposed to come there with the parai and guide them in the vratam, right? So therefore, that is the place. All the girls have come to that place of vratam. So apparently, today Andal, along with the other Gopikas, they have come to one girl's house, and outside the girl, they are talking about Rama's task of killing Ravana as easily as snipping a bud, right, from a tree. And they were also glorifying Krishna's task of killing Bakasura. These are the two things they were singing about. And they were also telling that all the girls have already, they have come to that place, except you. You are still lying inside. All the girls have almost reached the place of the vratam, all of us, except you. What are you still doing there? Velli edandu, Vyadam urangittu. Two things are being talked about here. So they are indicating the onset of the day. That day has finally come about. And the way these Gopikas would decide that the day has finally come is Velli edandu means Velli means Shukran. Okay, Shukra or Venus. Venus has awakened, or it is on the ascendant. Okay, apparently the transit of different planets is how these girls decide, right? That certain auspicious time has come to perform certain things, right? So they were saying Velli elindu, that means Venus is on the ascendant, and Vyadam urangittu, Jupiter has set. So this is what they were discussing. That means they are talking about a favorable time. Time has come for us to do this vratam. Pullum shilumbhinahan. Now they are saying birds are also chirping. What is this chirping that they are talking about? Previously also they have talked about a certain chirping, right? Thrice, in fact, we have seen that they have talked about chirping of the birds. The first chirping that they have talked about was when the birds literally woke up from sleep. As soon as the birds wake up from sleep, they start singing. That's the first chirping that they do. And then they start meeting other birds and start discussing amongst each other, right? As they want to proceed into the day in order to find food and all of that, first they start talking to each other. That's the second chirping that she also talked about in a different pasture. Now again, she's talking about a third chirping. This chirping is basically After the birds have gone in search of the food, while searching for the food, while doing its duty of searching for the food, the birds are still continuing to chirp or talk about different things. So this is that cooing or chirping that you can say. Okay. So this is the third time she's talking about it. That means, naturally, as they proceed from one girl's home to another girl's home, time will pass, right? So, and as time passes, the day becomes brighter and brighter. So they are indicating these sounds. Now it's already the time has passed where the birds have woken up previously. Now after some time, the birds were talking to each other, and then they have departed for the day. Now already they are in search of their food. So it's already bright morning. Still, are you sleeping inside? Please come out. Okay. And now they are how are they calling this girl? Pullum Shilumbinahan Podari Kandinai. So they are saying that this particular girl is someone who has eyes like Podu Ari. Podari means there are different meanings of the word Ari. Ari means, enemy. Ari also means a deer. Ari also means a bee. Podari means it is a bee which sucks the honey from a lotus flower, right? So they are referring to the particular girl's eyes. There, all three meanings can be taken. What are the three meanings with which they are addressing the girl? Your eyes are so beautiful. Oh, beautiful eyed one. That's what they are calling. But what is the beautiful eye analogy that they are giving? That your eyes are comparable to lotus flowers, the petals of a lotus flower. Your eyes are comparable to bees. Your eyes are comparable to deer. So this is how they are saying. So they are calling that specific girl without exactly calling her name. And then they are, saying that all these symptoms, we are seeing that there is already daybreak. Kulla, kulira, kudaindu, neeradade, pallikkidattiyo. Kulla kulira means it is the cold water that they are talking about, right? Water starts to warm up as the day keeps getting brighter and brighter and the sun keeps rising higher and higher in the sky. The water starts warming up. They were talking about a cold water bath, right? Now they are saying, kudain the neeradade, you don't want to take bath in this cold water. Why are you still pallik kidattiyo? Why are you still sleeping in the bed instead? Aren't you also supposed to take bath in the cold water like all of us? Why are you still lying asleep on the bed? This is the question that they are asking. Pavai ni. That means you are someone who has attained the perfection of being a woman, right? Nannadal, and the favorable time, Nal Nal. Nal Nal means a very good day, an auspicious time has come. And we are all surprised that you are still lying on the bed like this. Therefore, Kallam Tavaranda. Kallam Tavaranda means give up this duplicity. What is the duplicity? We know that you are enjoying Krishna. We know that you are thinking about Krishna. But you don't want to share that experience with all of us. This is not right. This is ill will. Your behavior is not right. So give up this kind of, kallam, whatever you have got, right? That, kapata buddhi that you have, that kind of duplicitous nature, you please give up. Kallam tavaranda kalandelor embavai. That means internally you are feeling, you are experiencing very nice experience of Krishna, but externally you are behaving as if you are ignorant and you really are not interested in this. So this is a certain kind of duplicitous behavior. That is why they started this Pasuram with Pullin vayi keendanai. That Krishna is someone who has broken open that kind of duplicitous behavior, right? Why? Because a crane, what does a crane indicate? What is Bakasura? What does Bakasura signify? It signifies the hypocrisy that is present in us, the duplicitous behavior in us. What is that behavior? Internally, we are one thing, but externally, we put on a show of being someone else or being something else other than what we are. Right? This is called duplicitous behavior, hypocrisy. Right? That is what Bakasura does. Right? What does a crane do? Crane externally, it appears as if it's meditating in peace. Right? As if it really doesn't care for anything. Externally, it appears very white in color, like a saint, right? But are its thoughts saintly? No. The crane's thoughts are not saintly. It has very wicked thoughts. It wants to pounce on the first opportunity it gets on whichever fish comes closer, right? For that, as if it is meditating on one leg, just like sages meditate on one leg. The crane stands on one leg and it keeps closing its eyes, and slowly, lightly it opens its eyes so that it can look around and see which fish is coming, right? The fish, they are first afraid of coming closer to the crane, right? Therefore, slowly they come closer and then they go away. They come closer and then go away. After some time, after repeatedly doing this, they gain a certain level of confidence that this crane is actually saintly. It's not moving, it's not doing anything. And now freely they'll move about. Once they start freely moving about and a lot of fish keep coming there, then the crane at once jumps and it takes it, it swallows the fish, and again it remains saintly. So this is duplicitous behavior. So now you're also doing the same thing. What is the thing that you are doing? That you are experiencing Krishna, but you are behaving as if you have no interest in Krishna when we are all saying that we want to go to Krishna. Right? This is not right. So you please come out of the state of meditation and join us. Kaland, you please come and join with all of us. Lord Empavai. This is our Vratam. Please come and join us. In this way, this is the external meaning of the Pasuram. Let us go through the external meaning one more time. Pullin vayi keendanai, polla arakkanai, killik kadaindanai, keerthimai paadippoi. We are someone who are interested in singing the glories of the Lord, who has torn open the mouth of Bakasura and who has snipped, right, the head of Ravanasura, who is the worst of all sinners, worst of the Rakshasas, right? Pillaigal ellarum pavai kalampukkar. All the girls have already come to this land where the the Vratam is being performed, right? Velli elandu, that means Venus has already ascended. And Vyalam Urangittu, Jupiter has already set. Pullum Shilumbina Kan, that means we already see that birds are starting to chirp for a third time in the day, right? Now that they are all in search of their food, they are starting to chirp one more time. So it's clearly a sign of daybreak. Podarik Kandinai, you, oh lady, don't think that we are calling somebody else. We are specifically we are calling you, who is possessed of beautiful eyes compared to that of lotus petals, compared to that of a bee, compared to that of a deer's eyes, right? That is the girl that we are talking about, right? Kulla kulira kudaindu neeradade pallikkidathiyo. Why don't you just wake up and take bath in these cold waters, right? Don't you want to wake up and take bath in these waters? Pavai ni. That means you are someone who has already attained perfection of meditation on Krishna. We know that. Nannar. Today is an auspicious day. The auspicious time has come for all of us. We are actually surprised that you are still lying inside. Kallam Tavirandu. You give up this duplicity. Kalandu, please come and join us. Lord Empavai. This is our Vrata. In this way, the external Pasuram goes. Let us now talk about the internal Pasuram. Meaning, right? What exactly Andal is trying to convey using this particular Pasuram. In this particular Pasuram, Andal is talking about the behavior of Bakasura and how Krishna actually, is someone who destroys this Bakasura, right? What is Bakasura? Like I said, Bakasura represents duplicity or dambha, right? What is dambha? Externally behaving in one way and internally being somebody else, right? This kind of dambha is present in all of us. Now, here in particular, two particular things are being talked about here. One is the killing of Ravana, right? And the other thing is the destruction of Bakasura, right? We all know the story of Bakasura, we just discussed, right? And, we may wonder, here we are being talked about, the killing of Ravana is actually described to be something that is very easy. But when we observe Ramayana, do we actually see that Rama's killing of Ravana was an easy task? Apparently not, right? If you just think about the incidents, Rama had to, first of all, he had no clue who actually stole Sita. First of all, he had to get clues of where this person was, right? And then he had to search. He had to walk a great deal. He had to talk to a lot of people. He had to develop friendship with Sugriva. He had to prove to Sugriva his own valor, his own ability to do things, right? Sugriva, it is said that Sugriva, always he used to doubt. Nityam Shankitaha. He was always doubting Rama's ability to do anything. So repeatedly he had to prove to Sugriva that Rama was, someone who would never lose his goal, right? So he had to repeatedly establish to Sugriva that he is capable of doing. And then he had to defeat the enemy of Sugriva, Vali. And then he had to get the favor of Sugriva in searching for Sita's whereabouts. And then he had to take the help of Hanuman to, for Hanuman to, go to Lanka, find Sita and come back, right? And then he had to, go to the ocean and perform Sharanagati. And he had to take the advice of Vibhishana on what are Ravana's weak points. And then he had to cross the ocean, build a bridge over it, cross the ocean, defeat the army. And finally, he was able to conquer Ravana. So when we look at the external things, it doesn't appear as if, whatever Ravana did, it was whatever Rama did was an easy task, right? None of this appears easy to us. But why did he do that then? Who is he actually? He is someone who is capable of doing creation, maintenance, and dissolution just by willing. That is the same Narayana who has appeared as Ramachandra, right? This Narayana has unimaginable power. His power is that he can create all universes, maintain them, and even dissolve them just in the blink of an eyelid with his mere will. He doesn't even have to do anything, literally, right? If he wants, he can do anything just like that. In fact, he himself says in the Ramayana, he says, right? Pishachan, Danavan, Yakshan, Pruthivyam Chaiva Rakshasan, Angulyagrena Tan Hanyam, Icchan, he says, Hariganeshwara. He talks to Sugriva and he says, Icchan, if only I desire to do so, then whoever they may be, whether they may be Pishachas, Danavas, Yakshas, Pruthivyam Chaiva Rakshasan, all the Rakshasas that are present on this earth, Anguli agrena tan hanyam. Right? Just like Andal said, he literally snipped with his finger. Rama is exactly saying the same thing, that I can snip them with my finger, with the tip of my finger. This is how easy for me it is to defeat anybody. Right? He was telling this to Harigadeshwara, Sugriva. Right? Then why did he not do that? Because if he does that, he can actually remain in Vaikuntha. He doesn't even have to come here to do all of these things, right? If he does that, what will happen? We will never understand how great he is. So many things God is actually doing magically, but are we consciously recognizing that God did this? We always think this happened because I put effort. This happened because my friends helped me. This happened because, luck favored me. This happened because, there was a support of this entire community. In this way, we always ascribe the reason to something else and something else and something else. We always fail to acknowledge that one factor which is indeed responsible for the success of anything, for us to accomplish anything. So this is what will happen if he defeats, such powerful forces, evil forces like Ravana or Hiranyakashipu. He could actually will from Vaikuntha that may he get heart attack or something, and the problem is solved forever. He doesn't even have to take a form, come here, fight with them, get defeated by them, again get, a lot of go through a lot of bleeding. Does he have to do all these things? If he does that, then we will recognize that this is the power of the Lord. It is, there is an important, subtle point here for all of us to appreciate. He has to come down to our level for us to appreciate how great he is, right? It is like, for us, something may be a piece of cake. But if we do it that way, a small child may not appreciate. A small child may not appreciate our power, right? So therefore, we have to, in front of the child, act as if we are, playing with them or lifting with them. And they can then appreciate that, this is actually a big task that my parent has accomplished, right? In this way, Paramatma, he has to do all these things so that his glory may increase in our heart, so that we may become he may become dear to us. That is the reason why he has to go through all these things. He has to perform all these tasks. For him, all this is not necessary. He can remain in an inaccessible form in Vaikuntha and just will for the things to happen, and they will happen. That is how he is willing and creation is happening. He's willing and maintenance is happening. He's willing and everything is getting dissolved. He's not literally doing anything for all these things to happen. The entire show of the universe, he is running just by willing. Sankalpa matrena, he is running everything. But then for defeating Ravana, then why does he have to go through all these things? So that we may be able to appreciate Rama's Swarupa, his Rupa, his Guna, his Vibhutis, his power. Because Ramayana happened, because Rama happened, therefore we are able to know the qualities of Rama. That this is how Rama shows compassion to people. Or Rama also feels for Sita Devi's absence. Rama also feels for the Jivas. In this way, we are able to understand so many qualities of Rama only because Ramayana happened. Only because Narayana chose to appear as Rama. So therefore, this is actually a great deed, right? For someone like him to be present in an inaccessible way, but to come down to a level, to our level, and do such mean acts. These are very trivial tasks for him, right? But he has to act as if they are the biggest tasks. And then we will appreciate. Just imagine for Krishna to lift Govardhana hill, is it a big deal? He is someone who is holding all the universes in place. Within one universe, within one planet, within one country, within one city, one tiny hill for him to hold, is it a big thing? It is not. But from our point of view, that's a big deal, right? That is an unimaginable task from our point of view. From his point of view, he's someone who is sustaining everything. So what is a big deal for him? But he has to do that so that we can appreciate how great Lord is. Because none of us can possibly conceive of doing something like that. None of us can conceive of killing Putana. None of us can conceive of, holding Govardhana hill. Or any task that he did, none of us can conceive of doing. Therefore, these are great tasks from our perspective. His glory increases in our heart. Attraction for him increases in our heart. His qualities increase in our heart. And we become closer and closer to him. Right? So this is why he does this. So therefore, Andal, for her to say that this is nothing is not a big deal, because Andal understands that for him it is nothing. It's really nothing. Okay, so just looking at the events of Ramayana, we shouldn't think that, Rama actually went through a lot of, we should definitely appreciate the difficulty he went through, in the sense that for him, he doesn't have to go through all of that. He doesn't have to go through a human form, but he took a human form. He went through sufferings in a very real way, like human beings. All of those sufferings are real. It's not that they are all to be dismissed. But the appreciation we should have is that for Paramatma, it's nothing actually for him to do that. But despite that, he chose to do it in a most complicated way instead of doing it in a simple way, because he didn't desire to do it that way. He wanted to show his glory to all of us, to attract all of us back to him. Okay. So anyway, so this is everything about this external thing. Okay. Now, what is the internal meaning of these two? Pullin, vayi, keendanai, and polla arakkane. Right? The Bakasura. Now, there are two enemies for us that prevent us from attaining Paramatma. Those two enemies have to be destroyed. The first enemy is this duplicitous nature that is present in us. What do we call all of us? We call all of us as Sharanagatas. We call that we are Bhaktas of the Lord. But are we? Externally, we say we are Sharanagatas, we are Prapannas, right? Samashritas. We have so many beautiful words. But do we really have that feeling all the time? No. Internally, what exactly is Sharanagati? The Lakshmi Tantra, which is a Pancharatra Agama Shastra, it describes what Sharanagati is. 6 angas of Sharanagati. Anukulyasya sankalpaha, pratikulyasya varjanam, rakshishyati iti vishwaso, goptrutva varnam tatha, atmanikshepa, karpanyata, shadvida Sharanagati. So these are the 6 elements of Sharanagati, right? Why are we recollecting? Some of us may already know these things. We may have heard about these things, but it is worth reflecting on whether we are actually feeling this way in our day-to-day tasks or not. So that means if we are not feeling that way, that means externally we are saying we are all prapannas, internally we are not being prapannas. That is the duplicitous nature. Anukulyasya sankalpaha means what? To always make our will align with the will of the Lord. What is the will of the Lord? For us to follow Dharma Shastras, for us to follow whatever he says. But are we keen or intent on following whatever he says, or are we still intent on doing whatever we want to? Right? There we can figure out whether we are actually following Anukulyasya Sankalpaha or not. Is our Sankalpa along the lines of Lord Sankalpa, or is it tangential to Lord Sankalpa? That is the first thing we have to examine. The second thing is Pratikulyasya Varjanam. Pratikulyasya Varjanam means anything that is opposite to the Lord's will, we should give up those things, those behaviors. But are we eager to understand what is against the interest of the Lord, and are we eager to give up that behavior? Or are we still someone who wants to hold on to those behaviors? Even though we know that God doesn't like those behaviors in us, we want to hold on to those behaviors, right? That means we are not really surrendered to the Lord, although we say I'm surrendered. So this is Pratikulyasya Varjan, right? Rakshishyati iti Vishwaso, having this Mahavishwasam or firm faith that he will never fail to protect us, right? Do we have this faith that he will never fail to protect us? We don't, because in most circumstances, although we say that yes, Lord will protect us, we always make our own protection program, right? Some insurance program we make, right? How, one time there is a beautiful pastime. One time Krishna and Rukmini Devi, they were playing a game of dice. Suddenly, Krishna got up all of a sudden and he started running. And then Rukmini Devi asked him, why? What has happened? Why are you trying to run? Then he said, my devotee is in trouble. One of my devotees, he's in a forest and he's being chased by a tiger. Therefore, I'm running to protect him. Then Krishna suddenly stopped and he came back and sat and continued the game. Rukmini Devi asked, what happened? You just said your devotee is in trouble. Why are you not going? Then Krishna said, don't worry. He took a stick. So he'll take care of himself. So in this way, that means although he's a devotee in name, right, that he's a Krishna Bhakta, he doesn't have that practical faith that Krishna will actually come to protect him. So therefore, he took a stick, thinking that I'll protect myself. Who displayed this kind of faith? Draupadi did that. She could have protected herself. She didn't do that. Sita Devi did that. She could have protected herself. If Sita Devi only looked at Ravana, she could have completely burnt Ravana to ashes. That is how powerful and chaste her eyes were. Sita Devi was so powerful because of her chastity to Rama. But she didn't do that. She could have done that. There are instances like that in Mahabharata. Even a certain sage, because of his tapasya, he looked at certain birds and he burnt the birds to ashes. And then he went to the house of another lady who was a very nice pativrata. And he was asking for alms outside her house. She went inside to get alms for this, particular Brahmana who came there, right? Kaushika, I think. So at that time, she went inside. In the meantime, her husband came. Then she forgot about this person who was waiting outside for alms and she started serving her husband. In the meantime, this boy was getting very, very impatient and he was getting angry. And then he called out of anger, could you please come out and could you please give me alms? Then that lady came out and said, why are you staring at me with such anger? Are you going to burn me like you burned the birds? Then he was shocked because only he knew that incident. That incident happened. There was no media back then. There was no media coverage and 24/7 news channels were not running in her TV. And she wasn't aware of all these things, right? Apparently, right? So he thought, how did this lady even come to know of this incident? I am the only person who knows about it. Somewhere in the forest, somewhere where I was meditating, just because the birds did their, number two on him, he got angry and he burnt them. And now he came to this, lady's house. And this lady said, do you think I'm like that birds to get burnt by you? I can burn you if I want to burn you, she said. So this is how powerful her chastity was, that she could even know what was happening, right? That is how she was. So in this way, Sita Devi was a pativrata with which, with her pativrityam, she could have actually burnt, Ravana. But she didn't do. She waited for Rama to come. Even when Hanuman offered to pick her up and take her back, she said, no, Rama has to come. Rama will come. He will protect me and he'll take me back. This is called faith, Mahavishwas. That definitely Rama will protect. That faith should be so firm in our life. That faith will come only after the first two things are followed. Anukulyasya sankalpaha and pratikulyasya varjan. Right? If we never act in a manner favorable to God, if we never, give up things that are unfavorable to the will of the Lord, naturally we'll be always overtaken by fear in our heart. Will the Lord protect me? Will the Lord protect me? I have prayed to him, but let me make my own arrangement. This consciousness will come only when we are always fully surrendered to the Lord, at least in our hearts. It's very interesting the way it is phrased. It is said, Anukulyasya sankalpaha. In your heart, you should be inclined to align yourself to the will of the Lord. In practice, you may not be fully aligned. You may not be 100% aligned. But at least is your heart so disposed? Is your heart so inclined to be 100% aligned with the will of the Lord? If the answer is yes, if your heart is so inclined to be, wanting to give up anything that is against the will of the Lord, 100%, you may not have given it up practically, but is your heart inclined that way? If the answer is yes, then that faith will naturally follow, that Lord will protect. Because you are acting in a manner which is fully surrendered to the Lord's interest. How can the Lord give up a fully surrendered soul? The Lord cannot give up. So naturally that will come. Right? This is Rakshishyati iti Vishwas. Then Goptrutva Varanam. That means accepting him as one's guardian, being very conscious and mindful in selection of him as our sole protector. After careful deliberation of who is capable of protecting me. Are these external people capable of protecting me? Gajendra thought for some time that all the elephants lying there were capable of protecting him. First, he thought that he was capable of protecting himself, Gajendra. Right? Therefore, on his own strength, he tried to fight with the crocodile for a long time. After that, as his strength started weakening, he started looking at all the elephants that were present. There are so many elephants lying on the banks of the river, but not one elephant is coming to my rescue. Is it actually difficult for these elephants to jump into the river and save Gajendra? Not really. If all those elephants jump in, can they not step over one crocodile and make the crocodile open the mouth, and can Gajendra not be released? It is possible. But none of them even got that inspiration, right? For them to step into the river. Then Gajendra started thinking, then none of these are protectors. Who is the true protector? Who is the person who is the source of all this inspiration? Who is the person who has inspired this crocodile to come and catch my feet? Who is the person who has inspired me to step into the river today? Who is the person who is inspiring all these elephants to not come, although they are capable of doing? That is the source, that Karanam, that Karana Tattva is what I want to meditate upon. That Karana Tattva is the actual protector. Because if that person doesn't do Sankalpa, nothing else can protect us. Nobody around us can answer us. No Devata can actually protect us too. If he wants to protect, then protection comes in some form. If he doesn't want to protect, nobody can do anything. Prahlada had this faith that, Hiranyakashipu was throwing so many weapons at him every day in one form or the other. He was facing death face to face. He was coming face to face with death. But Prahlada had this one strong faith that the Lord is my sole protector. What does that mean? Only if the Lord wants to kill me, then this knife can actually hurt me. Then this fire can hurt me. Then this bad fall can actually hurt me. Then this water can sink me. Then this elephant can stamp over me. Then this snake can actually bite me. If the Lord doesn't want to do, then nothing can happen to me. So if he wants it to happen, it will happen anyway. Then nobody can save me too. Because it's the Lord's Sankalpa that I have to end my life. So that then nobody can come to my rescue. If the Lord decides to save me, that will happen anyway. Then these things cannot even do anything. This is the faith with which Prahlada lived. So by carefully understanding the situation and actually thinking who is our true protector, right? This is Goptrutva Varanam, and actually choosing him as our protector. Then Atma Nikshepata, self-surrendered, fully sold like an animal is sold. Whatever the owner feeds, that's what the animal eats. Previously, it belonged to some other owner. Now the animal was sold to another owner. Now the animal is completely a surrendered animal in the hands of the owner. Whenever the owner feeds, that's when the animal eats. Whatever the owner feeds, that is the thing that the animal eats. How much ever quantity the owner feeds, that is how much the animal eats. Right? And the animal hopes that this new owner is going to protect that animal at all times, under all circumstances. That is the Atma Nikshepata, completely selling ourselves to the Lord, right? Placing ourselves fully in the hands of the Lord, not carrying any independence whatsoever. Karpanyata means feeling utter destituteness, utter humility. Karpanyata means something that attracts others' kripa on us is called karpanyata. Okay? Looking at us, they should feel compassionate. Right? When will they feel compassionate? When we feel helpless, truly from our heart, that's when somebody will feel like offering help. As long as we carry any pride, nobody will feel like helping us because we still carry that arrogance, we still carry that pride, right? So the Lord, in front of the Lord, we should display that complete karpanyata, utter feeling of destituteness, utter poverty of heart, poverty that in the sense that I have no quality whatsoever to consider myself worth belonging to the Lord. I'm so fallen. I have all bad qualities. If I examine myself, bad qualities is all I have. I have nothing worth considering acceptance by anybody. What to speak of the Lord, right? How can I be possibly saved if not for the Lord? This is how one should think. This is not something I'm trying to say. This is how Yamunacharya thought in his Stotra Ratna. This is how, Manavada Mavanigal thought in his Yatiraja Vimsati. This is how all Purvacharyas thought in their, different writings, in their different poems. This is the feeling that we should always carry. Not that I am so great, that I have so many qualifications. How can Lord not favor me? How can Lord not choose me out of all people? Because I am the best. I have so many qualities. One who feels this way will never receive attention of the Lord. Lord's grace will never fall on such a person because he takes pride in his own ability. The Lord will never even look at such a person. The Lord will look at only those people who actually feel very helpless, that they have nothing whatsoever worth, bragging about themselves. They feel utterly destitute. This is karpanya. Now, having understood all these things, it is, worth doing a self-reflection on how many of these things we are truly feeling on a day-to-day basis to call ourselves someone who is surrendered to the Lord. If we are not feeling, then we are Bakasuras, right? External behavior is one thing, internally it's another thing. If we are feeling, then we are not Bakasuras. If we have this behavior, how to overcome this behavior? This behavior will actually not let us reach Krishna. It will not let us attain Krishna because true surrender of the heart is never there, right? So, just like this Bakasura prevented all the Gopas and all the Gopas from attaining Krishna, he kept them away from Krishna, right? By swallowing them. This behavior will consume us. It will not let us reach Krishna. Then who can save us from this behavior? Krishna alone can save us from this behavior. What does that mean? It means that we have to, despite feeling this way, right? This process is purifying. That association with Krishna is purifying. Meditating on this pastime of Bakasura Vadha is purifying because it will remove this Dambhika Pravritti from our hearts. It will remove this hypocrisy from our hearts. It will remove this duplicity from our hearts. Repeated meditation on the Lord and His qualities and His pastimes is the only solution. That is what will purify us naturally. There is nothing we can do, but we have to repeatedly continue to practice taking shelter of the Lord, His qualities, His pastimes. Then naturally, all these behaviors will change and our internal nature of the heart will align with that external identity we have established for ourselves as a devotee of the Lord, as a prapanna of the Lord, right? So the one thing we have to take is shelter of the Lord. By taking shelter of the Lord and His qualities and pastimes, repeatedly thinking about Him, repeatedly meditating about Him, and happily glorifying His qualities and His pastimes with our heart, our behaviors will change, right? That is called Bakasura Vadha. So this hypocrisy is one thing that prevents us from attaining God. So that they were talking about. And Krishna is the one who broke open this hypocrisy. He's the one who destroyed this hypocrisy. The second thing is, Polla Arakkanai Killik Kadaindanai. That means he is the one who killed Ravana. Yesterday we already discussed about Ravana, right? Ravana represents that ahankara that is present in the mind, right? The mind by itself is a good thing. But when that ahankara is present, then that ahankara prevents us from attaining God. Right? That ahankara of the mind has to be destroyed. And again, Rama is the one who can kill this ahankara. And he is someone, just like we discussed, right? In the case of Ravana, Andal said he can just remove Ravana just like we snip a flower, right? That is how easy it is for him. But he did not desire to do it that way. He desired to do it the long way. Why? Similarly, the ahankara of the mind can also be removed immediately, but he doesn't do that. Why does he not do that? Because we have to attain a state of karpanyata. If the ahankara is removed immediately, we will think, see, I only practiced for 2 days. My heart has already become pure. How great I am. I never had any sins, actually, to begin with. I was always pure. Had just one or two bad qualities. Those also went away just by 2 days of practice. I'm already a devotee. I'm already a prapan. In this way, we'll start feeling, right? This pride he doesn't want in his devotees. Therefore, he'll go the long, winded way. Slowly, he'll make that process go. That every point we have to feel that I'm so helpless. I've been practicing for 10 years, 15 years. Still, I'm the very same person. All these dirty things are still there with me. When will I ever get delivered? When will the Lord's mercy ever fall on me? In this way, feelingly, cryingly, we have to call out, right? Then the Lord does it, right? That is because he wants that behavior, that condition of heart to evolve naturally in us. He doesn't want that to come artificially. Then we will never feel his glory. We will think it is our glory, right? Just like defeating Ravana, he can accomplish from being in Vaikuntha. Then we will never feel his glory, right? Devatas will think, oh, Ravana died. See, we just thought that he should be dead, he got died. The Devatas had to feel that they were helpless. They had to pray that someone had to come. Then Vishnu had to appear. Then they had to say, this Ravana is torturing all of us. Nobody can defeat him. Only you have to come. Then he had to appear as Ramachandra, right? Why all that show? So that Devatas can understand what their true position is, that they cannot even defeat this Ravana. So in this way, all of us should also feel. That is the point of these first two things. Then Kirtimai Padipoi. So we have to sing about the Lord's qualities. All these qualities have very deep lessons for all of us. Just like we discussed yesterday, the killing of Ravana, why should we meditate on that? Because repeatedly meditating on that is what gives faith that our mind's impurities will also be destroyed by the Lord. We are in the shelter of the Lord. He can destroy that impurity anytime, any day, right? It's not a big deal for him. Just like he defeated Ravana. What should I do? Just like Sita Devi placed faith in Rama, I should place faith in Rama. Just like Sita Devi thought of nothing else but Rama, I should think of nothing else but Rama. That is, the hope with which she lived is the hope with which I should live. In this way, we should constantly, and we should feel, just like, the mistake that, I made, because of which I got into Prakriti, I should never make that mistake again, right? In this way, we should constantly reflect on these pastimes, right? When we keep singing, when all these reflections happen, then naturally the glory of the Lord will come out in our heart, right? How glorious is he? Kirtimai Padipoi, she is saying that we have to sing about the glories of the Lord. How glorious is the Lord? There is a difference between Kirti and Yashas. Apparently, they both appear to be the same from an external point of view. Yashas means also fame, Kirti also means fame. But there is a difference. What is the difference? Kirti means something that is something that everybody can accomplish is called Kirti. Okay? Kirti means something that you can earn by putting some effort. That means you can give some charities and you can attain some fame. Everybody will say, see, he gives a lot of charities, right? You can build some monuments, you can build some, things, right? You can set up certain things and you can gain fame. This is called Kirti. But Yashas means something that is unusual, accomplished only by someone who is extraordinary. That is called Yashas. Okay? Now, if you think about the tasks such as creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the universe, of not one universe, of multiple universes like that, every moment, just by mere willing, is that someone anybody can accomplish? Giving liberation even to the worst of sinners like Putana, who came to kill him, right? He gave liberation to Putana. Is that something anybody can do? He is the only person who can award liberation. He exists everywhere as the Antaryami of all, without seeing any distinction. One of the qualities that we learned of the Lord yesterday was, even in a tiny microbe, in circumstances which are the worst for us to even think of, he exists along with that microbe in those dirty things which we don't even want to touch, right? Then we can imagine how much Vatsalyam he has. So all his qualities are unsurpassable qualities that nobody can cross over. That means he is the limit of those qualities. Those qualities feel happy that they exist for him. He is someone who gives glories to the qualities. For all of us, it is the opposite. The qualities, when they are present in us, we get glory. But the qualities themselves feel glory if he possesses them. Right? That is how great he is. That is whose glory we should sing. Therefore, he is not even ordinary yashaha. The Upanishads say, Tasya nama mahad yashaha. that he is the greatest of such people. What kind of people? Something unusual that only extraordinary people can accomplish. The fame obtained by that is yashas. Among such people, if at all there are any such people who can accomplish extraordinary tasks, then among such people he is Mahat. He is greatest. Right? So that is who the Lord is. How can we not sing about his qualities and glories then? That is Kirtimai Padi Poi. Let us actually sing about his glories. Right? பிள்ளைகள் எல்லாரும் பாவைகளும் புக்கார். All the Gopikas have come to this place for performing vratam. What is this place for performing vratam? This place is the place where the Kalakshepa Kshetram. Kalakshepam means what? Time pass? No. Kalakshepam means, Kala means what? Kala means death. Kalakshepam means cutting down death. How do we cut down death? By constantly associating with the Lord. Then there is no death, right? It is told in Bhagavata Purana that those who constantly hear the glories of the Lord, even Yama himself will not come to such people. Because as soon as he comes, he hears Hari Kirtana. He will also naturally participate in that Hari Kirtana. And he will go away. He'll forget why he came there and he'll go away. So there is no death for such people. Although externally it is told like this, internally the meaning is, those who are absorbed in the glories of the Lord, for them there is no ordinary death. That death is the final death from samsara. They'll go back to Paramapada. After that, they don't experience any death, right? So what is this particular kshetram that they are talking about? This particular vratam is not an ordinary vratam, right? We have discussed about this many times. It is not a vratam for obtaining rain. It is a vratam for attaining the grace of God. It is a vratam for attaining God himself. Even the sages of Naimisharanya, in the Bhagavata Purana, it is described that they all set out to do a Satrayaga. At the beginning of Kali Yuga, they all became very concerned, looking at the qualities of people of Kali Yuga. Right? All the people of Kali Yuga are Mandaha. That means they are very unintelligent. Even slightest truths of scripture, they can't get it. Right? They are Mandaha. Sumanda Matayo. They are first of all slow to begin with. They are very lazy to take up any spiritual topic. Generally, they don't have any interest in spiritual topics. Most people like materialistic discussions. They don't like spiritual things. That is Mandaha. Sumanda Matayo. They are extremely unintelligent also. They cannot understand even basic truths of scriptures. Manda Bhagya. This is another quality of Kali Yuga people. That they are unfortunate. Because even if someone wants to learn about the scripture, there are so many organizations to misdirect people than the number of organizations to actually direct people in the right path. There are so many, so-called gurus, fake gurus, so many fake works out there which are not even founded based on scripture. So many fake ideas. So what is the possibility of someone finding the right path, finding the right acharya, finding the right books, finding the right commentaries, understanding them, practicing them, and getting delivered? So, in general, they thought that people of Kali Yuga are very unfortunate. Because in previous Yugas, there was at least some standard of living. In Kali Yuga, cheating is what flourishes everywhere. Truth will be hidden. What is untruth will be made famous as truth. What is truth? Everybody will say this is falsity, don't go for it. So, this is the nature of Kali Yuga. So, people, the sages were feeling very bad. Manda Bhagya. So, therefore, what did they do? Let us do something for the welfare of people is what they thought, because these people are incapable of delivering themselves. So let us do something in their name so that they will get some welfare. In this way, they decided to go to Naimisharanya, which is the center of the universe. That is the fulcrum of the universe. Anything done in Naimisharanya, the impact of that will affect the entire universe. So in order to benefit the entire universe, they decided to choose that as the place. And they started doing a Satrayaga, right? But they themselves describe in Bhagavatam that Karmani Asmin Anashvase Dhuma Dhumratmanam Bhavan. That by doing this kind of karma, our faces are becoming dark, but we are not seeing any results, is what they described. Which is when Suta Maharshi came and they inquired from him, what is the solution then? Because this yaga, apparently Satra Yaga is done for 1,000 years. So it's a long sacrifice. Apparently they must have done it for a long time and they were not seeing any results because the force and power of Kali Yuga is so strong. right? It is, many of us have seen movies, right, where we try to, save something or protect something, but when floods come or something comes, it's hard to, prevent the force of that, right? Then they were thinking, what is more powerful than this that can actually check the force of Kali? And then they started asking that question. Could you, you know, um, you are someone who has studied all the itihasas, who has studied all the Puranas, who has studied all the Dharma Shastras, Akhyatani api adhitani, Dharmashastrani chanagha, right? You are someone who has not only, studied them, but you have also recited them many, many times. So that means we have confidence that you are someone who knows all the scriptures end to end. Now, please tell us what is beneficial for the people of Kali. What is it that we have to do for their benefit? Then he started saying, one has to sing the glories of Lord Hari. That is the only solution. That is how Bhagavatam even begins. This is literally first chapter of Bhagavatam, right? The sages discuss the concerns about Kali Yuga, the onset of Kali Yuga, and what will benefit. The question is a very interesting question, which sets the context for Bhagavata Purana. The question they ask is, what is it that benefits all living beings? Very neutral question, right? No biases in that question, right? They are not saying, please tell us what benefits me. They are saying, what is the one thing that benefits all living beings? This is the question they asked. And the solution for that is provided in Bhagavad Purana, right? So therefore, they are saying, we have arrived in such a place. That means we have arrived at the kshetra where this is to be performed. We are almost there. You are still not coming out of the house. In other words, we want to hear about the glories of the Lord. That glories of the Lord is what delivers all of us, right? So you please come and join in this glories of the Lord. Why are you not joining? That is the question they are asking her. Velli எழுந்து வியாழம் உறங்கித்து. Two things are being talked about here. What are they? The rising of Venus and the setting of Jupiter. What is Venus or Shukracharya famous for? He is famous for Nrita Sanjeevani Jnanam. Only he had the knowledge of reviving dead bodies back to life. Okay? Because the Rakshasas, Shukracharya was the guru of the Asuras, right? Because he had that knowledge, the force of Rakshasas was always increasing. That means they always had a stable supply of people. Because if anybody was dead in a war with Devatas, again he would bring them back to life. Okay? So only Shukracharya had that knowledge. On the other hand, Brihaspati did not have that knowledge. So the people on the Devata side, they were decreasing. This is before, they all drank Amritam and so on, before all of that happened, right? So people on the side of Devatas, they were actually dying, but people on that side, they were not dying because he was bringing them back to life. So only he had Mrita Sanjeevani Jnanam. What does Mrita Sanjeevani Jnanam mean? It means to revive someone from the dead. We are all, if you apply that to the soul, our soul is basically dead, right? What does dead soul mean? What is the purpose of the soul? The purpose of the soul is to serve Paramatma. If that purpose is not getting accomplished, it is considered as good as dead. Just like if we have a laptop at our home and that laptop is completely useless. If we try to switch it on, it takes 45 minutes to switch on. If we try to type something, that cursor will move after 1.5 hours. Then is that laptop worth any use? Not useful, right? If we have a grinder and the grinder never works, do we ever say, if someone asks how many grinders do you have, do you say I have one grinder? No, you will say I don't have any grinder. What does that mean? Even if you have, you'll say I don't have. Then will you say that if the grinder is not working, right? Similarly, we are not useful to the Lord currently. So we have to be revived from this dead state to a state where we become useful to the Lord. That is Mrita Sanjeevani Jnana. When they say Venus is on the rise, they are talking about the time has come for us to awaken the spiritual knowledge, right? Brihaspati, he is the propagator of Charvaka Matam. Charvaka Matam means hedonistic philosophy. What is that philosophy? Just the opposite philosophy. No, the soul's nature is to surrender to the Supreme. Surrender to the Supreme or belonging to the Supreme exists only when Supreme is accepted. If you don't even accept that there is a Supreme, there is no question of surrender and so on. This is the hedonistic philosophy, Charvaka Matam. This is one of the atheistic philosophies, right? Ancient Indian atheistic philosophy, where there is no other world other than this. There is no heaven or hell. There is no rebirth. There is only fools believe in the concept of gods. So you basically make merry, have fun, enjoy this life to the fullest extent. This is the philosophy, Charvaka Matam. Okay. So this is just the opposite. So when they are saying that, Venus is on the ascent and Jupiter has set, what they are indicating is that the time has come for our spiritual awakening and the time has come for the Ajnana in us to come down. Right? That is what they are indicating by this. Right? There is another meaning which is the opposite that has also been provided in the commentaries. Venus represents Asura Pravritti because he is the guru of Asuras. Brahaspati represents Daivi Pravritti. Right? That means he is the guru of Devatas. Right? So when they are saying Venus is on the descendant and Brahaspati is on the ascendant, they are saying that the age is rising where Asura Pravritti will flourish and Daivi Pravritti will come down. Before that happens, oh Gopika, please come out and guide us. So in both ways, they have provided meanings here. Okay. So we can take any one meaning which is easier for us to follow, right? In other words, what they are talking about here is the auspicious time. The timing right now is the right time for us to advance. So at this time, someone like you who has experience of the Lord, who is experiencing the qualities of the Lord all the time, cannot sit inside. You have to come out and you have to guide us. This is the point that they are saying here. Okay. Then, Pullum Shilumbinakan Podari Kannai. Like I said previously, Andal talked about the chirping of the birds thrice. First time she talked about was as soon as the birds woke up, they were chirping. This is indicating that as soon as a certain meditator comes out of meditation, they are sharing the realization. This is the first chirping that she talked about in the 6th Pasuram or something, right? Then in another Pasuram, she again talked about chirping of birds. What is that? That is the discussion between birds, two birds discussing with each other about their realizations, right? After the birds are awakened, first they start chirping. After some time, they converse with each other, birds, right? That is what she was talking about. That means Bhagavatas, conversations between Bhagavatas and how they are, like I said, right, previously in one of the classes, we have to study these conversations between Vidura and Maitreya, right? Between Bhattar and Nanjir, between, different scholars have mutually conversed with each other. And as part of those conversations, knowledge has appeared in the form of scriptures. So we have to study these things. We have to learn from this. This is the experiences shared by realized souls in mutual conversations with each other. This is the second chirping she was referring to. Third chirping that she is talking about today is once the day has started and the birds have already gone out and they are searching for their food. That means these Bhagavatas, after coming out of that meditation and conversing with each other, they have now gone into Anushtanam, right? Their daily practices. Now, as part of their daily practices also, they share out realizations. The birds are chirping as they are searching for the food. This is indicating that as they perform their activities in the day-to-day world, they will have realizations. Oh, it is difficult to do these things in Kali Yuga. How to do? Scripture says like this, but in practice, there is a challenge in doing it. How should we do? In this way, we get so many doubts on a day-to-day basis. Acharyas clarify these doubts with their experiences, their realizations, and they have asked their acharyas on how to do if such a thing happens, right? So many practical situations and circumstances with respect to Anushtan. So those are the third things that she is talking about. So you are someone who has that knowledge because you are practicing and therefore you know what is the right way of acting in this world. So please guide us. You are not someone who should just sit inside and meditate. That is not right. Please come out, she is saying. Then they are saying, Podari Kanninai, that she compared her eyes to a flower, a bee, and a deer. Three comparisons. Okay. What does this mean? Someone possessing eyes like a lotus flower, right? Externally, all these three things indicate a certain beauty, right? Lotus petals means they indicate beautiful red eyes, right? Or eyes like a bee. Bee is beautiful to look at. So you see that shine, right, on the bee. Similarly, the eyes have a certain shine on the eyeball, right? And then eyes of a deer. Generally, we say Chapalakshi, right? What does that mean? That means there is a certain beauty that is there in the eyes of a woman who keeps looking here and there out of fear, right? Out of a certain concern, right? That is what is indicated in the eyes of a deer. Now, let us try to understand what each of these mean. Now, what is the significance of a lotus flower? A lotus flower is something that takes birth in dirt. It derives its sustenance from dirt, yet it only blooms upon seeing the sun and closes that bloom as soon as the sun disappears. Okay, so this is the nature of a lotus flower. Now, Andal is saying this Bhagavata or the girl inside has eyes like lotus flower. Eyes means jnanam. So the jnanam of this Bhagavata is such that although they are born in this world, in material world, prakriti, that means this is compared to dirt, right? That is how this material world is. They, their heart only blooms upon experiencing Paramatma. Only to something related to Paramatma, their heart responds. And when that experience is not there, their hearts close. So someone who possesses this kind of jnana, right, is being indicated here. That your eyes are like lotus flowers. That means, although you are someone who is born in this world, you possess a certain kind of jnana or eye, right, which is of the nature of blooming only when there is something related to Bhagavan. If there is nothing related to Bhagavan, your heart doesn't even respond to it. That is what they are indicating. Next, someone possessing eyes like a bee. What is the significance of a bee? What does a bee do? It resides in the flower. It keeps sucking as much honey as it wants. It gets intoxicated by it and it remains asleep in it. This is the nature of a bee, right? And they are saying that she possesses eyes which are like bees. That means their jnana are like bees. What is this bee? Paramatma's lotus feet are the flowers to which their jnana is attracted. Their eyes are attracted, right? And it is Veda describes that Amrutam keeps flowing from Paramatma's lotus feet, right? They constantly absorb themselves in service of the Lord. Lotus feet means absorption in service of the Lord. That is the honey that they keep experiencing all the time. They are intoxicated by that honey and they remain asleep in the lotus feet of the Lord. Asleep in the lotus feet of the Lord means naturally they are not awake to any material experiences. For all materialistic things, they are asleep. For spiritual things, which is the Lord's lotus feet and service to Lord and kainkariam to the Lord, they are ever awake. So that is the kind of jnana that this girl possesses. That's what they are describing. Okay. Then someone possessing eyes like that of a deer. What is special about a deer's eyes? A deer is always fickle out of fear. A deer never has stable vision on a thing. Always it is fearful and it keeps looking around to see if there is some danger lurking around, right? Similarly, although they are experiencing Paramatma all the time, their hearts are always fearful that they will lose that experience, that something may happen to the Lord, like Periyalvar. In fact, Periyalvar is the Alvar described. According to one Swapadesha commentary, Periyalvar is the Alvar described in this particular Pasuram, right? So, just like Periyalvar, although he was experiencing the Lord, he was always afraid that something might happen to the Lord. Therefore, he was singing Pallandu Pallandu, Pallayirattandu Palakodi Nurayiram, right? In this way, he was singing that nothing should happen to you, my Lord. Nothing should happen to Mangai. Nothing should happen to the Shankha. Nothing should happen to the Chakra. May you flourish for thousands of years. In this way, he was constantly singing Mangala Shasana to Peruman, right? So, in this way, their eyes are present. This is one meaning. Another meaning is also provided. The Upanishads describe things called Brahma Vidyas. Brahma Vidya means it is a certain kind of meditation that is enjoined in order to attain Paramatma. That is called Brahma Vidya. Within the Upanishads, there are about 32 Brahma Vidyas that have been identified by Acharyas, okay, across all Sampradayas. So, one of those Vidyas is called Antaraditya Vidya. Antaraditya Vidya means meditating upon the being that is present inside Aditya or the sun as a means for liberation. Okay? Meditating on the being inside the sun as a means for liberation. Now, naturally, questions have been asked. Who is the being one should meditate upon? Should one meditate upon the sun god, the presiding deity of the sun, or should one meditate upon somebody else? All acharyas, including Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, all these acharyas, they have said that the being to be meditated upon is not sun god. What is being referred to is the being inside that sun god. Who is that being inside the sun god? If we look at the Chandogya Upanishad, it tells that a certain quality about the being inside the sun god. It says, Tasya kapyasam pundarikam eva akshini, it says. And then it says, Hiranyasmashuhu, Hiranyakoshaha. In this way, it describes that the form is full of gold, it says. And then one distinguishing character, it says, unique character. Tasya kapyasam pundarikam eva akshini. He has two eyes. Akshini is a dvivachanam. It doesn't say three eyes. It says two eyes, right? So it's talking about a two-eyed person who is present inside the sun, right? And it says, Tasya kapyakam kapyasam pundarikam eva akshini. Kapyasam means, kapi means kam pibanti iti kapi. That means kam means water. So it kapyasam pundarikam refers to the stalks of a lotus flower which drinks water, right? So kapyasam pundarikam eva akshini means it is referring to pundarikaksha, right? Someone who has eyes like lotus petals. That is the tattva that Chandogya Upanishad is describing as the person who is inside the sun. Now, this is what Upanishad says. If we look at Itihasas and Puranas, which are explanations to what is there in the Upanishad or the Veda, Itihasas and Puranas describe Dhyaya Sada Savitru Mandala Madhyavarti Narayanaha Tarasijasana Sannivishtaha Keyuravan Makarakundavan Makarakundaravan Kiriti Hari Hiranmaya Vapuhu Dhruta Shankachakraha. In this way, the Puranas very clearly establish that the Tattvam Savitru Mandala Madhyavarti, who exists inside the sun, controlling the sun. Right? Brihadaranyaka Upanishad asks that question. Who is the person inside the sun, whom the sun does not know, who controls the sun, right? That tattva is none other than Narayana. And that Narayana is the person possessing Dhruta Shankachakraha, right? Very clearly that tattva is identified. So what they are talking about here is when they are saying, referring to lotus eyes and lotus, all of those things, they are talking about a devotee who is so absorbed in the lotus eyed Lord. That is the tattva. That means Antaraditya Vidya is the Vidya that Andal is describing in this particular Pasuram. In several of these Pasurams that are yet to come, she talks about several Brahma Vidyas, right? Antaraditya Vidya is meditation on the Supreme Lord within the orb of the sun, right? And even Taittiriya Upanishad and others say that that person who is present within the sun is the same person present in all of us, right? That sa ekaha, saya evam with, right? That the person, yasya aso purushe tasya aditya sa ekaha, it says, right? That he who is present in the aditya and this purusha, he is the same person. Okay. So in this way, what is being established is that when we are supposed to meditate on the Antaratma within us, we can even meditate on the Antaratma within the orb of the sun, right? So that is Antaraditya Vidya. Of course, most of these Brahma Vidyas, most people in this age, they cannot practice. But for the sake of discussing Upanishads, these things are being talked about, okay? That is one thing that is being talked about here. Next, Kulla Kulira Kudainda Neeradade Pallikkidattiyo. Now they are saying, why don't you take bath? What is the bath that we have discussed? That this bath is in the qualities of the Lord. Why should one take bath? Because one is experiencing a certain type of exhaustion, tapam. When we feel a certain kind of tapam, we try to take bath in cooling waters. It is described in Ramayana that Bharata, he was going through a lot of tapam due to separation from Rama. And every night before dawn, he used to bathe in the Sarayu river to cool himself down because of that tapam, right, that he was experiencing, separation from Rama. So, in other words, what is the cooling waters that we have to bathe ourselves in the Lord's Kalyana Gunas, right? That Andal is discussing this with the Gopika that is present inside, that we are all experiencing that separation from the Lord, right? So the only way is for us to unite with him. How can we make sure that we feel his presence? By discussing about him, right? Then that tapam will go away. Let's come out and discuss about him. That is what she's saying. Pavaini Nannadal. You are someone with the beauty of your eyes. You have attracted Krishna himself. Therefore, you have attained completeness. The completeness of the soul is when the soul again belongs back to Paramatma. Right now, the soul is in a state of separation from Paramatma. When the soul again attains that unity with Paramatma, then the soul has attained its completeness. Right? They are discussing that you are someone who is like that. Right? Just like a married woman attains that completeness when she unites with her husband. Elsewhere, she will feel that vacuum in her life. Right? Only when she is with her husband, she feels that completeness, that security. You also, only in presence of Krishna, you feel that security. We know you are of that nature. So we want to understand what that kind of feelings are. Please come out and share with us. Nan Naal. This is an auspicious time. This is a good day. What is a good day? A good day is that time when Sattvaguna is present, when times are favorable for us to achieve union with God, when circumstances afford the opportunity to develop that devotional service to God. But when we waste such precious time with materialistic things and association, what is the use? Right? So, what is good day? Good time is that time that is favorable for attaining God. When such a time has come in our lives, we have to utilize it. We have to take as much benefit as possible so that we can make advancement. Because in English also there is a proverb, make hay while the sun shines. If the sun doesn't shine, you cannot make hay. Right? So you have to utilize that opportunity that comes in our lives. When there is an opportunity for advancement, we have to take it. In Kishkindha Kanda, Ramachandra actually laments about one thing, that, he says that his feelings are not because Ravana has stolen Sita Devi. His feelings are not that Sita Devi is not here, but he feels that Sita Devi's youth is getting wasted away. This is what he says. And the inner meaning for this, Acharyas have explained that Paramatma's worry is that youth represents that favorable time where you can actually experience the Lord, right? Naturally, when we are young is when our memory is sharp, our ability to grasp things is sharp. This is not, a lusty man feeling about a lusty woman. That's not what it means, right? Apparently, the external meaning appears like that, right? But the internal meaning is Paramatma feels for all the jivas, because when we are young, our memory power is more, our ability to grasp things are more, our comprehension power is more. That is the age when we have to utilize as much as possible learning about Paramatma Tattva, so that at a later phase when our ability, starts falling down in every way, we will be able to hold Paramatma in our heart. But if we do not utilize this youth, and if we waste away this youth in all kinds of materialistic pursuits, then when a time comes where, we are no longer capable of getting this knowledge, no longer capable of holding this knowledge, then if we turn to Paramatma, what is the use? Right? Because our mind, Kulashekar Alvar describes, right? Kafavata pittaihi kantavarodana vido smaranam kutaste, he says. Krishna tvadiya padapankaja. I forgot that sloka. Adyeva me vishatu manasa rajahamsa prana prayana samaye kafavata pittaihi, he says. That there's, when at the time of departure comes and, my throat is choked with all, doshas rising in me, kapha, vata, pitta, where is the possibility that I can even remember you? Right? Padapankaja panjarantam, right? Adyeva me vishatu manasa rajahamsa. Yes, that is the sloka. Anyway, so this they are saying, they are expressing to this Gopika within that, time is favorable for us right now. Therefore, we want to take shelter of a Bhagavata like you and we want to learn from you. So this is an indication. They are teaching all of us that when we are young, when our minds are young, when we have that eagerness to learn about the Lord, and when circumstances are favorable, sometimes in our life, circumstances will not be favorable. There were so many difficulties that keep coming in our life that we cannot even, pursue spiritual knowledge and spiritual path. When there is time, when that opportunity exists, we should utilize it. That is a time we have to approach acharyas, learn from scriptures, and understand and, elevate ourselves. So that is what Andal is trying to teach all of us, right? Then, Kallam Tavirandu, now they are saying that you should not be someone who, is completely having this kind of ill will, that's kind of kapatam, that only you alone are experiencing Paramatma, right? Please come forward and teach, right? Because, what they are saying is, if a jiva goes away from Paramatma, somehow the jiva again comes back and seeks forgiveness from Paramatma, Paramatma can accept that jiva. But if Paramatma himself forsakes the jiva, where is the hope for the jiva? If the mother herself, disowns a child, then where is the hope for the child? When Acharya disowns a Shishya, where is the hope for the Shishya? Right? In this way, they are feeling that you cannot disown us. Right? You have to somehow be merciful and come out. Right? We may make that mistake that sometimes we may go away from you. But again, because of our foolishness, we do those things. We may come back and seek forgiveness, and you will accept. But if you forsake us, if you disown us, what is the hope for us? So please don't do that. Please come out and guide us. In this way, Andal is saying. Very quickly, I'll try to summarize this. Pullin vayi keendanai polla arakkanai killikkalai naanai keerthimai paadippoi. We have to sing about the glories of the Lord who is capable of destroying this Bakasura and Ravana, right? What are these two things? Bakasura represents the duplicity that is present in us, externally feeling that we are surrendered and we are devoted, but internally we are not, right? That is something that Paramatma is capable of removing, right? Because that is an obstruction for us from attaining him. Then Polla Arakkanai Killik Kalaindani, right, is the second thing. That means he is someone who can snip Ravana. That means remove our Ahankara also in a moment. He is someone who is capable of doing that too. Such a person's glory, we have to always feel in our heart. What is the meaning of feeling that glory? Because he is someone who is capable of doing these unimaginable tasks in a moment. But he doesn't do that in a moment so that we can actually feel his glory. Right? We have to feel that struggle and we have to feel that glory. Right? He's the one helping us all along. This is the point that they are saying. They are saying that everybody has come to Kalakshepam. They have all come to hear about the glories of the Lord. And they are also saying that, Venus has come to the ascendant and then Jupiter has descended. In other words, they are saying that favorable time has come for all of us to advance right now. Pullum Shilum Minagan, Acharya, tattvas like you have to give us that practical knowledge also, right? Because you have now gone into Anushthana. So now that speech also is something we want to hear. Podarikandinai, you are someone who is a practitioner of Antaraditya Vidya, right? Or in other words, you are someone who has knowledge which is of three kinds. What are the three kinds of knowledge? Knowledge like that of a deer, knowledge deer's eye, knowledge that like that of a deer, knowledge like that of a bee, knowledge like that of a flower. That means you are someone who only responds to Paramatma. Although you are present in this material world, although you are sustained by things in this material world, you are someone who only responds to Paramatma and nothing else. This is the first thing. The second thing is, just like a bee is always absorbed in the flower and is intoxicated by flower and nothing else, you are someone who is always absorbed in service to Paramatma and his lotus feet, and you derive nectar from that service again and again. That you are someone who is completely intoxicated by that, and you are someone who is asleep to everything that is material in nature. And the third thing is you are someone who is always afraid that that Bhagavat Anubhuti that you are experiencing will go away anytime. So you are very careful and always cautious not to lose that experience. At the same time, you always are in the mood of doing Mangala Shasnams to the Lord, fearing that something might happen to him because he is so glorious, right? These are the characteristics that they are praising. And then, please come out and take bath. Kullu kulera kodaindu neeradade. When the waters are still cold, please come and take bath and reduce your tapam, your exhaustion that you are feeling because of separation from Paramatma. Pallikkidathiyo pavai ninannadal. Auspicious time has come. You feel that you have attained that completeness because you have completely attained union with Paramatma. That is what we want to get guided on. So, Kallam Tavirindu, please give up this duplicitous behavior. Please come out and Kalandu, please come and unite with us. Elor empower. Join us in this Vratam. In this way, Andal concludes this Pasuram. With this, we will also conclude for today. Andal Tiruvadagale Sharanam. Emberumanar Tiruvadagale Sharanam. Tiriyajiyar Tiruvadagale Sharanam. Jai Sri Narayan. Sorry again for taking a little long because this Pasuram is like that. So please bear with me. Thank you. If any of you have anything that you want to share, please feel free to.
Jai Narayana Swami.
Jai Narayana Swami.
Ananthan has a question.
So can you take a bath in hot water then?
When you feel a lot of heat in your body, what kind of water will you take bath in?
Cold water.
Cold water. So here they are experiencing heat. When do you experience heat? When you are feeling very anxious about something, when you are worried about something, right? When you are afraid of something. These are the times where you feel some mental heat. Your mind gets heated up, right?
Yeah.
Then if you take a cold water bath, it'll cool you down. Yes?
Yeah.
Similarly, these gopis were feeling separation from Krishna. So they were feeling very anxious. So their head was heated up. So therefore, they wanted to take bath in the cold water. The water is basically the qualities of the Lord.
Yeah.
Okay? Did you understand?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Adiyan Swami.
Adiyan.
Jai Narayan Swami.
Jai Narayan.
Swami, wonderful session as always. I have one question, Swami.
Yes.
Karpanyata, when
Right.
you are talking about that, Swami, I was relating to our Thiruvaradana.
Mm-hmm.
While doing the Thiruvaradana, we say, right?
Mm-hmm.
Amare Arda Shudra Chalamati
Yes.
Asuya Prasvabu. Is that all it is, Swami?
Yes.
That
That is all.
Acharya gave?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
That
That
is
is what
meditate upon. Amaryadaha, Kshudraha,
Shudra
Chalamati,
Chalamati.
Asuya Praso Bhuvu, Kritagno, Durmani, Smaraparavaso, Vanchanaparaha, Nrisansaha, Papishtaha,
Yeah.
Kathamahamitu Dukha Jalate, Aparadu, Tirnaha, Tau Paricharayan Charanayo.
Yeah. We talk about like we are not any anyway early anyway applicable, or we are very low. We keep ourselves in a lamentable condition there.
Right, right. That we have no qualification
No
whatsoever.
qualification so whatsoever. Nice, Swami. Nice. Thank you, Swami. I just want to clarify that. Thank
Sure.
you. Jai Shri Maharaj.
Yes, Siman.
Jai Srimanarana Swami.
Yes, Siman.
One question I had was around Bakasura. When you said that this is the duality within us,
Mm-hmm.
I was somehow relating it to Chitta Suddhi, where we also say that whatever is in our mind, speech, and heart should
Mm-hmm.
always be the same thing. No, Swami, is it similar or this is a little different, Swami?
Arjavam. So the quality of Arjavam is different. Slightly different. Actually, it's related. So Arjavam means what we feel in our heart is what we should do, and what we do is what we should speak. In other words, if we are not someone who is at that level and not doing that, we shouldn't speak as if we are doing it. Right? That means when the person speaks, we know that that's the level at which they are, and that's the condition of their heart too. Right? Alignment of these three things is arjavam. That the nature of a devotee is that he always has arjavam. That means what he speaks is what he does. What he does is what is his heart's condition. Right? There is no disalignment. So the duplicity that we are talking about here is, in general, it's a show off tendency. Show off tendency is slightly different flavor that even out of fear one may show off. Right? Although they are not there, out of fear of acceptance by the social circle, one may want to show off, right? Or something like that. But so that is the Bakasura behavior. That externally one wants to behave like a saint because we are so called in the association of saints. But internally one is still suffering from so many bad things, right? That is, what is being referred to. But one specific thing in this context, things related to Sharanagati are highlighted in the commentaries here, because that is inimical for us to attain, inimical for our progress towards Krishna.
Wonderful, Swami. Thank you so much. Lot of great references. So it was really hard to keep a track. So I'll go back to the recording, Swami.
Sure. I know these commentaries are just pregnant with so many meanings. So it's hard to do justice. Sometimes I just myself keep wondering so much in
Very beautiful, Swami. Thank you. Dasam, Swami.
Adiyan.
Again,
Some
Adiyan Swami, Abhishek Swami, how are you?
one last question, Swami. Sorry to bother. I know it's
Adiyan, please go ahead.
too late, and this is not. This is mainly my naive understanding. Also, it could be. I don't know, but when the thing comes like வெள்ளி எழுந்து வியாழம் உறங்கிற்று,
Mm-hmm.
uh, like naively, not the deeper meaning, but just the naive meaning. Could it also relate to the time she's saying? Because வெள்ளி எழுந்து means
Yes.
Friday is coming, Thursday is done, like that.
Right. Time also they are sort of indicating time also. Apparently they said here that it's indicating the onset of day. I myself am not familiar with Jyotisha Shastra. So I don't know how exactly they indicate. I think sometimes in some acharyas commentary, like in discourses I've heard, but I don't recollect exactly. Again,
It's considered as rising, like it rises just before sunrise. And then Jupiter usually rises in the night. Jupiter usually doesn't rise in the daytime.
in the daytime. Okay. Yeah, I don't have a realization of that. That's why I wanted to avoid talking about it.
Sure, Swami.
Good to know. Yeah.
That's
For clarifying. Thank you for clarifying and adding that point to Abhishek. Yeah. Externally also she is referring to that time. right? The change in time. Yeah.
Namaskaram, Swami.
Namaskaram, Mami.
I have two things to. One is question, one is information.
Sure, please.
First question is you said Sita is completely have faith on Rama that he will come. Then why she decided to hang herself on the tree after the Rakshasas
Originally, her faith was destroyed. She lost that hope. She lost that faith because. So this is something we discussed yesterday. That her faith again developed after hearing from Acharya, who is Hanuma. Right? That's when her faith got reinstated. So originally, Ravana used to play tricks. He used to come in different forms to cheat her. So each time Sita Devi would become hopeful that Rama has come, and then again this person, he shows his true color and he laughs at her. So just the way he carried her away, right? He came as a saint first, and she thought that he was a normal sannyasi or a bhikshu who has come, and he cheated her. Repeatedly, he was doing that. Ravana was doing that so many times that Sita stopped trusting anybody at that point. Because anybody could be a Rakshasa in disguise. Even though they may seem saintly and good behaviored and all that, she cannot trust them. She lost hope in people in general. That is how hopeless she was at that point. Now, from that condition, Hanuman reinstated that faith, saying that, no, the search has begun for you. Rama is already working on his way. And, to instill that faith back in that faithless condition, after that, her faith was so strong that at that point, she was like, Rama will come and Rama will take me. Then her faith got reinstated, and hearing that, Hanuman became happy that, Sita Devi is now hopeful that Rama will come. And, that's when, he went and conveyed that message to Ramchandra.
Okay, got it, Swami. Another thing is regarding faith, fully surrender. I'm taking the bus. So whenever, sometimes every time when I start boarding, I used to take a nap. That time I feel then how much faith I have in that driver that he will safely reach me home, or even in winter, when whether it is snowstorm or when raining, heavy rain, and whatever, and how, but I wouldn't care about anything, but I have that faith that so that's why I fully surrender, kind of, that I have fully faith on the driver that he will drive safely and reach me home. So then I will think, if I have that same faith in God, that if I find any problems or something, if I have the same faith, then I wouldn't have to worry. I can sleep well, like how I sleep and I take a nap without having any issues or something. I'll take a nap very even sound sleep. I set an alarm to wake me up like that. So sometimes I feel, but I don't have that much faith in God that if I find some trouble, or if I face something, that I will immediately cry, or I will fully coming to down. So that's why whenever I should think like that, but that faith never come to God. But I have faith on a human who is driving, but I don't have faith that God who can control everything. So I just wanted to share this my thought.
Yeah, beautiful thing that you told, Mommy. We all do that when we climb a plane and go to somewhere, sleep on the plane. And even if turbulence happens or anything, we can't do anything anyway other than trusting the pilot that he will take us to the destination. The same faith we lack in our life, that Lord is the pilot who is taking us. Very nice.
Thank you, Swami.
Thank you for sharing.
As usual, everything all full new comparison with every word you are explaining. So it is very, very useful. But we should follow. That is the main thing. After hearing, at least we should change to some extent. That our bad will go, and at least try to be a good person, whatever you taught.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
wonderful insights. Again, I apologize for taking so much time,
No, Swami.
but without my
Anyhow,
consciousness,
tomorrow Sunday only. No, anyhow, people will sleep very late only on weekend.
yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Swami.
Thank you so much. Okay, thank you all. We'll hang up for today. It's already late for everybody. Thank you again for joining. Jai Shri.
Jai Shri.
Thank you, Jai Shri Manar.
Jai Shri